Hello, I'm Rob Price. This season, we're exploring agentic AI from the perspectives of those driving its evolution. Welcome to Futurise.
Hi, I'm Soo Ling Lim. I'm the CTO at Futuria. So I look after the technical strategy behind our platform, making sure our technology is robust and scalable. I also have a research background in agent-based modeling and agentic AI. So I'm also an honorary professor from UCL. So I worked with the Intelligent Systems Group and collaborate with researchers there. So I've spent the last 15 years building software products, and I've always been interested in agent-based modeling. So way before there's LLM and agentic AI. Yeah. So at the start, it was more modeling and understanding complex systems. The first model I made was the Apple App Store ecosystem. So I modeled kind of developers like and apps and users. So it was a very big system, and we kind of wanted to understand what's the best strategies that developers can use to get different app downloads and how users react to that. Yeah. So we were already modeling strategies from developers and artifacts that they produce, which is the apps. Yeah. So that got me really interested in agent-based modeling.
It's the thing that I always kind of find interesting when I'm talking to people because I say, hey, we're doing some really cool agentic AI, multi-agent systems. No one's an expert in that because it's not been around long. And then, of course, I find that there are people who are expert in that because we may be doing it now, but it's been discussed for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. And I guess in a different way. Well, before there are LLMs, it's kind of, yeah, more kind of modeling, whereas, yeah, it became very powerful with LLM. But on the flip side, I also see people, like, I always get excited when people say, oh, we're doing agentic AI. And then I looked at them and that there are two agents. And then that's it. And I get really disappointed because I come from, background where we have like millions sometimes. So that's like way too many. But two is like, oh, that's not really multi-agent.
I had a conversation earlier in this season, and somebody made the very good point that said because everyone's talking about agents, because everyone's talking about agentic AI, you almost have to say that you're doing things in that area,
Yeah.
irrespective of whether you actually truly are or not. You said there that LLMs were almost the thing that kind of elevated and changed. I mean, clearly, kind of the whole world had started playing with them, and therefore people you could talk in the street about agentic AI and people had at least kind of maybe heard of it or had a view about LLMs. Is it just the LLM arrival that's what else has triggered this? Well, I mean, there's nothing else on LinkedIn apart from agents and agentic AI at the moment. What are there any other triggers that you would point to apart from the large language models?
Well, I think in the last kind of like 12 to 18 months, mainly we get, at the start, when there's LLMs like 2, 3 years ago, they just weren't capable enough. So when they first came out, I really thought like I'll put them together with my agent-based model. Like I tried to put a lot of things with my models to see what they do. But at the start, they just weren't capable enough to do a lot. So at that time, I was trying to model polarization, and we just couldn't get the LLMs to do anything kind of different enough to fit what the model would need. So the capability was limiting. So very recently, like last 12 to 18 months, we have massively more capable foundation models. So we've gone from like LLMs that were just kind of summarizing or like chatbots to ones that can really reason, take on roles, and persist across different workflows. So it makes them more viable as autonomous or semi-autonomous agents. So that's why it enables like agentic AI to kind of be possible. That's one of that. And then also, agentic frameworks are not that new now, but at the start they were very research based and they were again used for chat. But now frameworks like AutoGen, LangGraph, Crew AI, they have kind of matured well enough to support structured orchestration and memory tool use and more multi-agent collaboration. So that kind of progresses it. And finally, I think the other thing is about enterprise readiness of infrastructure. So there are like very recently a lot of upgrades in how agents are deployed now. So it's kind of gone quite mature compared to like earlier on. So, platforms can now support like CI/CD for agents, very good secret management, role-based things. Yeah. So it's almost like, and good integration with existing data systems like NCP and stuff like that. So it's like the core of what we call agentic ops. So that these three things really kind of provide a huge shift. Yeah.
Is it all those things that you would describe as the constituent parts of agentic AI? I mean, to your point, if somebody describes two agents working together as agentic AI, it maybe is stretching the bounds a little. But what is agentic AI to you?
Yeah, I think agentic AI, so the agents have to be autonomous. They need to make some decisions and there needs to be some governance. Otherwise, it will just, do anything. So that's quite important. And there needs to be infrastructure that would support it that's quite mature, especially well, you can do agentic AI like as a toy project, but if you apply it to enterprise, that wouldn't do. And I think before that, a lot of examples, and even now, I think a lot are just toy projects that are not kind of governed or reliable. So, but proper agentic AI, you have to have all this kind of it has to have enterprise ready infrastructure, proper orchestration frameworks, and supported by good models that can allow agents to work together. So the collaboration between agents to do something more high level than what a single agent or a single LLM can do. Yeah.
And one of the things that we've talked a number of times has been the secure aspect of that in large scale enterprise organizations. We've done work in the defense space. So the principle of secure by design, or however an organization might phrase it, but it seems to be the gap on a lot of the things that we see out there. It's people might have been able to build multi-agent teams or agentic workflows or goal-oriented outcomes. But are they doing it in a secure enough fashion at the heart of complex, secure, regulated enterprises? What is it to you that kind of makes that difference of being able to, it's about trust, I guess, but how do we build trust in such that people in those enterprises and the responsible boards in those enterprises believe it can operate in those spaces?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like a lot of implementations of agentic AI, like so first whether or not they are agentic, and then when they are, they might not be mature enough or like I think they haven't been thinking so much about secure by design yet because it's like, they just want to get the thing working. So that's and the other thing is it's quite new and a lot of areas haven't been explored. So I think, yeah, but when you want to apply that to proper enterprise, you have to think about it. Yeah. So that use case, you just need to think about secure by design as a principle. So it's not negotiable. Otherwise, enterprises just can't use it. And it's especially because agentic AI agents can take actions, they can access systems, they can interact with sensitive data. So if you don't have that at the core, then yeah, your agents are just not trustworthy. So I think yeah, the things that you need to really think about when you implement agentic AI for enterprises is your architecture needs to be secure by design, and by that I mean it kind of needs to be like a zero trust agent architecture. So every agent is treated as an untrusted component unless explicitly granted permissions. So it has to be fine grained. You have to scope it like API, so agents can only access tools and data they need for their role and nothing more. And also, when agents communicate with other agents, and this is the tricky bit, how do you make sure if one agent has access to something and the other doesn't, that they don't, release that during their communication? yeah, what kind of governance you have to put in to make sure that that doesn't happen. Not just doesn't happen some of the time, like never happens. So that's a very important thing to do. And then the other thing is the agent behavior needs to be kind of deterministic, and that's difficult for an LLM, and it needs to be auditable. So you want to avoid, hallucinations by using very good prompts, but still sometimes that might happen. And then you need the tool call to have restriction, and then you need to validate. And one important thing that we really kind of emphasize is user feedback loop. So users always will be able to decide what the agents want to do. So agents will think, okay, they want to do this, but the user can say, hang on, stop, don't do that, do something else. And it will be able to learn, okay, next time I'm not going to do this because it's not the right thing to do. Yeah. And then logs will be retained for every step. So what the agent saw, what it reasoned, what it had to do is all recorded so that there's traceability. And also that can be good compliance as well. So that's very important. And then the next thing is because you are integrating with enterprise data and enterprise, so the integration points need to be secure by design. So data access, delivery pipelines, yeah, everything needs to be integrated with security policies from day one, like not later on. Yeah.
I think I was going to say, where are people getting stuck? But I think you've just answered that in essence, because kind of that's shared a whole range of areas that I think through experience of the last few months, they're things that we've encountered or approaches that we've been confident in pushing forward. As you continue, and because you're at the heart of driving the evolution of the platform and how that's made up in terms of the technology components and understanding what the rest of the market's doing all the time, because of course that's changing pretty much
Yeah,
every day.
definitely.
What's interesting for you in terms of some of the things that you're looking to add over the next few months, without necessarily going into the absolute detail, but just a high level, what's hot for you?
Well, I think what I'm thinking about a lot is agent orchestration. So not just single agent, multi-teams, multi-teams. So how do you put them together so that they are modular, but then their interaction kind of produces results that's needed by the enterprise. So that in itself, like how do you plan the teams? How do they delegate? How do they share information? Like how do agents share information just across agents, across teams, different teams? Yeah. And also different kind of events like driven that drives the coordination. So not just by user prompts. So automatically. So these are the things we think about. And the other thing is it's quite a complex thing. So what's kind of very interesting and hot in my mind is that I think not a lot of people are thinking about is how do you actually validate the kind of interaction between agents. So at the moment, I think we have a lot of benchmarks that look at how to test an LLM, and then it progresses to testing an agent. Even beyond that, like testing like five agents interacting together, that's difficult enough because yeah, you change a tiny thing. What we find, you change the model or you change the prompt a little bit, one agent changes its behavior and that has cascading effect, and then the overall effect, if you have a very large team or different teams working together, the effect can be quite like exponential change. So how do you trace that, and how do you find out where the pinpoint where the error is, and how to change it so that it doesn't have a massive difference. So that's very interesting, and that's a difficult thing to do. And then I guess the third one is to optimize the teams to produce good results that we want. So the third one, because at the moment, I think, so we have prompt optimization like at the LLM level again, and then prompt optimization for single agents. But when it comes to optimizing prompts for teams, the coordinator, how they, orchestrate teams, so that becomes really difficult and it's a very interesting problem. Yeah. So these are the three.
I think in a sense you've touched on what we could talk about in terms of agentic ops or model ops in at a component level when those things change, you because they do change. I mean, I had a conversation last week around do models degrade or do not, and what does degrade mean and all that sort of thing. But the point is there is variability day to day because of things that happen. So if I think about it from the enterprise perspective, then I want reliability in terms of the things that are happening, which is this kind of bridge between there's a fair bit of noise out there in terms of, oh, we've tried Gen AI or we've tried large language models and it doesn't do the things that we were hoping for it to do. So how do we make that bridge? How do we crack that from an operational perspective to ensure that yes, things can change, but actually the fluidity and the flexibility of the system can adjust in some automated ways. Is that more agents that are kind of looking out for that to work out how to kind of tweak the prompts if kind of things change? Or what are your thoughts around that?
So I think at first we need to be able to kind of there's two two things. So with kind of like a single agent or an LLM, you just need to, read the log, compare the output, and then optimize the prompts. But with agent teams, you also need to look at how they are coordinated. So who does what when, and if that changes, it will change how they behave. So trace that and kind of ensure consistency in that kind of behavior because you don't want like in a lot of enterprise use cases, you don't want the team to kind of just run off into the sunset and do things before the manager decides what to do. So you kind of have to validate that kind of task separation and delegation occurs correctly. And then that once that step is done, then you can check that the agents are performing what they are supposed to do and passing information around as they are required. So the thing is that at this kind of scale, or it becomes more complex system-like. So there are emergent effects. So you need really to have structured telemetry, action tracing, error classification, because otherwise it becomes impossible to debug and understand failures. Like if you have a like swarm of agents. And I think that bit is what's difficult. And I think kind of background in complex system is quite useful because you can understand that it's not, because so far, like with LLMs, like you look at the end output, but if you look at like the final output of an agent team, okay, that's not right, but where is it? The traceability of it, that's the difficult bit. And then once you can get that kind of sorted, you need to know how to trace the problem. And then when you find it, then you can optimize towards correcting it. So yeah, it's possible. It's just challenging, and that's why it's interesting. But when that's done, it's a very powerful thing. Yeah. And I
Uh,
think the things that I think enterprise has realized that because they now, at first they are thinking, oh, LMs are just chatbots and stuff like that. But now I think they are open and kind of they stopped thinking of agents as chatbots and started treating them as like proper delivery units that can help them. Yeah.
and I think that's the key thing, isn't it? Kind of as a delivery capability that can operate at scale all the time,
Mm.
doing work that's kind of key work, complex work. That's a massive shift in expectation from a world where we were playing with chatbots as an example. And I guess to your point of it's an exciting place to be, I guess that's why we're both kind of at the heart of that
Yeah.
because every day is kind of really. But what are you most excited about at the moment? Of some of the things that you're doing, what are you looking at and thinking that bit there, that's truly groundbreaking. It's a phenomenally exciting bit to work on, kind of day in day out.
Yeah, so what I'm really excited is the kind of pushing multi-agent collaboration in with real world accountability. So that is really difficult and exciting because either one of those just doing multi-agent collaboration. Yeah, you can do that if you're just curious about what weird results you produce. That's not difficult. But doing it with real world accountability, that's the challenging and interesting bit. Yeah. Yeah, so we're not only working on agents that can talk to each other, but they can delegate, they can escalate, they can coordinate like teams, and then they hand off things and operate under real organizational constraints. So that is very exciting and difficult at the same time. And I think what's pushing the edge here is we are combining LLM reasoning with structured agent roles and patterns, and then with enterprise grade observability and replayability. So that you can kind of almost watch the agent kind of do what they do when they do stuff and why. This is something that you can then plug into organizations, enterprises, not just a tech stack. So this is really exciting, kind of bringing discipline and design patterns into agent teamwork. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I guess we never know who's listening. So let's imagine the world's listening. Is there anything you'd pick out as, I mean, if we imagine a future that we've got, I mean, you said swarms earlier, so swarms of agents kind of within the enterprise doing really useful work at scale, reliably, securely, all of that. What are the things that the industry just hasn't yet solved? So if we're imagining kind of 2, 3 years out, I don't know what the timeline is, but for big organizations to be doing that at scale around the world, what do we need the industry to kind of solve? I mean, is there something that you'd kind of highlight as if only we'd got that bit cracked, that would help in enabling that future vision? What would it be?
I think we need very robust evaluation and testing frameworks for, multi teams. So we haven't cracked that yet. And then, so it's at the moment it's still difficult, a challenge to kind of test, compare, and validate behaviors of large teams. So we kind of almost need unit test structures for agents and then structures for teams and teams of teams. So not just prompt tuning. Like a lot of us are still currently doing prompt tuning and thinking, oh, that's great. But we need kind of agent team tuning or team swarm tuning, something like that. Yeah. And especially this is especially important when they are embedded in really critical workflows that enterprise will need. Yeah. So
Excellent.
I think,
So if someone out there is listening thinking, that's what we do, then they should get in touch pretty quickly.
yep.
Fantastic. Soo Ling, fantastic to talk today. As somebody said to me last week, it's great to get into the detail and practical experience of delivering multi agent teams and understanding kind of how that can help others, but equally can help others see the potential of it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me. Been great fun.